Hey guys, it's Breaking Brian back with another Last of Us review. So this is going to be going over episode 5. So honestly, this was a great episode. I really liked it. I might give it like a 9.5 out of 10. It was just fantastic. So let's get on with it. So the beginning of the episode, we have this woman. She's just walking through this hallway in the hospital, and I don't believe we got her name, but there's WLF soldiers around her. So she's just kind of this commander, or something. I don't know what her ranking is exactly. I kind of forgot, honestly. But these soldiers are kind of just being all stiff around her, and she notices, the area. So apparently, this was a flashback from a few weeks ago. So these soldiers are just kind of waiting because their commanding officer was arrested, and the door is welded shut, it's sealed in, all that stuff, and we find out why later. Because of the spores, obviously, and so we see a lot of WLF here. And eventually, the woman just sees. I don't think she even mentioned it. Like, there's no dialogue in this scene. Like, it's just kind of like very quiet. Anyways, we see Elise Parker, or Park, I think. Anyway, she's like the commanding officer of that big unit of the WLF, and they're in the hospital. And the woman, she goes to sit her down. She is just kind of in trouble. She needs to be interrogated for what happened because something big went down. And we actually see what happened. She mentions how, they were clearing up the hospital. And as they were trying to clear the basement, she mentions that one unit didn't return. So then she sent another unit, who was Leon, even her own son, and to clear the infected, and it just went bad. It went incredibly bad. Like, the WLF cleared the hospital, and she mentions how Leon told her that to seal him in the basement because they're infected, the spores, all that stuff. She Elise tells her commanding officer that it's in the air, all that stuff. So the commanding officer inaugurates her. She says that you did what had to be done, and you sacrificed some so that the rest of us could survive, kind of thing. And she even says, "I'm sorry about your son," which is kind of crazy. It's the opposite of what Joel did, sacrificing, Ellie for others. Joel didn't do that, and this woman sacrificed her son for others. And we see the intro start, and we have the intro, the good old intro with The Last of Us, and then afterwards we have Dina writing down on a piece of paper. She's listening to the WLF, their court. She's listening in on their patrols with their walkie, and she's writing down their locations, how far they are, all that stuff, because she is just trying to figure out what happened with Nora. Although I don't understand why Ellie and Dina didn't just head that direction they saw in at the end of last episode. But anyways, yeah, they're just she's triangulating their position, even using a magazine, all that stuff. And Ellie comes in, and she's kind of asking about, apparently they've been doing this kind of like all day kind of thing, after the last episode. And obviously they want to really show off that Dina is smart, whereas Ellie is not so much. Ellie hated math, all that stuff. So in the meantime, as Dina is trying to triangulate Nora's position and all that stuff and find a way around the patrols, Ellie goes in the auditorium, and she just sees the musical instruments, the band, and she picks up the guitar and she tunes it, and she even tries to do the Take on Me like she did last episode. But she actually doesn't really. She doesn't really play the full song. She does like two, 3 words, and then she immediately puts it away, just not feeling it, just like nope kind of thing. You know what I mean? I guess like to show that she's just not feeling connected to Joel anymore because he's been gone, for 3 months. So Dina comes and tells her she's got a position on Nora, and yeah, we really get to see Dina show off her smarts, against Ellie, because she mentions how the patrols go through this street, and then they start on this street and go the other direction, but there's this little gap that they don't do, and there's a building there, and we don't know what building it is, which is kind of weird because you would think it would be on the map. But anyways, they kind of talk about it is like, are they infected? Like, what's going on with that building? And yeah, Elia even asked a good question about why aren't they patrolling the building, and they just need to come up with a plan. It's risky, it's reckless, and even if they get to that building today, it'll be by night. And she talks about the scars, and she mentions the Amish, which I think is pretty cool. I like how Dina kind of mentioned the Amish, which is really cool. So this is actually interesting. Eventually Ellie and Dina leave the theater, and they're on the road. I noticed that there's no Shimmer with them. In the game, Shimmer's already dead at this point, but in the show, they kept Shimmer alive, which is interesting. Not sure why they're not using Shimmer. That's kind of weird. I don't know why, but yeah, they're a little anxious, a little on edge. keeping an eye out. And it doesn't take long for them to see a bunch of dead scars on the side of a building, and there's graffiti where they used to have, the prophet, the woman, about, like show, like feel her love, all that stuff. But the WLF graffitied and the dead bodies. And Ellie's horrified, and Dina is like pretty much puking again. It's just it's yeah. So it's pretty bad, like the civil war going on in Seattle. And then Ellie even kind of mentions to Dina like, you shouldn't be here. You're pregnant. What was I thinking? This is a bad idea. And it seems like Dina is just kind of like, I guess, offended by it. So she tells Ellie her backstory about how, she lived in a cabin with her mother and her older sister, and that she, wanted to play outside, so she took a gun, and she wasn't there to when her a raider came and killed her family, killed her mother and sister. And she mentions how she, just killed a raider, and that was the first person she ever killed. And Ellie even mentions, how'd you even get to Jackson? And she's like, oh, it doesn't kind of matter, which I kind of think it does, but whatever. So yeah, there's a backstory. And Dina kind of mentions to Ellie, she kind of adds in that rage of Ellie mentioning that whatever Joel did to them, the WLF, it doesn't justify beating him to death like that. And she says that they need to get revenge. Kind of telling Ellie that I'm with you. We need to get revenge for Joel, all that stuff. And this is kind of interesting because in the game, Dina was definitely one to be like, hey, we shouldn't do this. Whereas, in the show, it's a little bit the opposite. Um, so yeah, anyways, it's nightfall, and we have Ellie and Dina inside a building. There's like huge WLF patrols, wolf patrols. They're everywhere. They're massive. They're shining bright lights everywhere. They're just the car patrols, the cars, everything. It's just a major operation. And, they cut through that building that they mentioned earlier on the map. And afterwards, they're trying to plan ahead because Dina kind of mentions to Ellie how there's a lot of WLF. So if they shoot, they'll be found not long. And Ellie kind of mentions that she'll search because she's already bitten. She's immune, so she won't die if she gets bit. So all that stuff. So yeah, Dina kind of mentions to Ellie that, hey, if they get in trouble when infected, they have to just run and use their knives. Like they're not gonna use their guns, because if they do, then the WLF will know they're here. All that stuff. So yeah, we have Dina and Ellie looking through this creepy building, and I think Ellie or Dina was even like, "Hey, did you hear that?" And the other one was like, "I didn't hear anything." So it was really creepy here. It was kind of like a haunted house, kind of thing, which was pretty good. I respect that. And then eventually they enter the main building, and they notice one infected, one stalker, and Ellie kind of mentions that we can take care of it. It's just one stalker. We might have to split up, kind of thing, which I don't think that's a good idea. I feel like they should be back to back, because the stalker, um, is very fast, but whatever. So, anyways, Dina unfortunately notices that there's two stalkers, and she kind of mentions like, "What are we gonna do?" All that stuff, and you know, Ellie kind of mentions that she doesn't know what to do, and then all of a sudden, on the other side of the building around them, they notice a whole bunch of stalkers, and I think they confirm there's about 11 in in the main room with them. The writers, the directors, I think they confirmed there's 11 stalkers. So yeah, it's just really bad, just absolute chaos. And Ellie tells Dina to just hide in that fenced off area and survive, kind of thing, because the writers confirmed that Ellie and Dina didn't even know if they were going to make it out. And we have Ellie grabbing Dina, trying to choke her or something. Like, I don't know, I think, like, I have to be honest, not the most appropriate time to show affection in a weird way. I don't know that. Yeah, just so anyway, Ellie and Dina run, and I like this. It was very chaotic. Dina ran inside the cell, the caged off area, and the infected were literally clawing for her. Like, she already has several stalkers attacking her, and it was just crazy. Like, even Ellie takes off some of the infected, but they still chase Dina. They're ripping the cage apart where Dina's in, and Ellie even gets bit a few times. It's just kind of crazy. It's purely chaotic. It's just insane. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? I mean, they're ripping apart the cage. It's just like, what the heck? Are they that strong? Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's terrible infected. Dina even runs out of ammo, and Ellie's struggling. And then all of a sudden, one of the infected that was attacking Ellie is just shot in the head, all that stuff. And then we see it's a person. I thought it was a WLF soldier, in my honest opinion, because they did fire the guns like a minute prior. So I thought maybe it was a wolf soldier. But then, no, we actually see that it is Jesse, which is just honestly really crazy. Like it's crazy that we get to see Jesse. So yeah, Jesse mentions how they need to get out of here. The WLF are coming, and we see that Ellie and Dina and Jesse are running. The WLF are already on them, and also I noticed that there's a Ferguson truck. That's kind of cool. It just is. Uh, so yeah. They're running under the bridge and all that stuff. I love the scale. I love how like it's very much panicked. The WLF are right on them, and they see a park, so they cut through there. And then for some reason, the WLF don't follow them into the park, which is kind of crazy. I thought it might be infected. I'm like, wait a minute. What? Why would they not be, following them through the park, all that stuff? So yeah, it's just kind of crazy. They were able to escape, and Jesse kind of mentions to Ellie how he tracked them down with the map in the theater. But it's funny because I had the same question as Ellie. I'm like, wait, how'd you find the theater then? And it's just like it's kind of like a plot hole because Jesse's like, hey, I don't want to talk to you right now. You really want to talk about this? And it's just like, well, it's a pretty good question, It's anyway. So Jesse kind of mentions how him and Tommy, Tommy's somewhere else back at the theater, but he kind of mentions how they were looking for them. They're here to bring back Dina and Ellie, all that stuff. And Ellie and Jesse kind of have a standoff of who's more masculine. And trust me, Ellie, you are not winning this match. Um, so anyway, all of a sudden, instead of infected, they notice scars, seraphites. They hide. They see a bunch of torches, and this is why the WLF didn't follow them into the park. It's because there's a wolf WLF soldier that's being tortured, killed. And also, yeah, by the way, Def called, he wants his sickles back, dude, okay? Like, seriously, yeah, not even. Who do you think you are? Anyways, moving on, this Scar, they're hanging a wolf soldier, and, the cult, the Seraphites, they're doing their weird ritual thing where they're about to kill someone, and the guy doesn't even want information. He just kills the guy, hangs him, and everyone watches, even Dina. I mean, she looks away, kind of thing. But and then all of a sudden, Dina gets hit with an arrow. Where it's like, when this happened, I was like, what? Like, where did this come from? I'm just like, yeah, everyone is just shocked, and it's just like they saw them. So Jesse has to carry Dina back to the theater, and Ellie offers to distract them until they escape, which is just like, yeah, it's pretty bad. Um, the thing is about the Seraphites, it's like, yeah, if you really do just have guns, like you really could just kill them. For the most part, the only thing you have to avoid is the arrows. Like that is the main thing with the Seraphites. You just gotta avoid their bows and arrows and crossbows. But yeah, so the people are looking around. Also, the Seraphites, they have terrible haircuts. Like their haircuts are trash. But yeah, anyways, we see that Ellie hid inside a giant tree hole kind of thing, and they missed her. And for some reason, she's kind of just already trying to get out of it and run, even though they still like use there's still fire. Like Ellie, you should probably wait a little longer. But Ellie actually sees the hospital, away to the hospital, which is kind of crazy. Like you think they would be more on alert, since there were shots fired, all that stuff, and scars are not far from the territory. Yeah, so anyways, we see some pretty cool patrols with the WLF at the hospital. Like I said, it's just cool. I like how they added this, more into the show, made it more like a military. It's just honestly great, the scale. Um, and Ellie sees the hospital, and we get to see one of the best girls, Bonnie, and yes, we get to see a dog, a German Shepherd. And when I saw her, I mean, I knew we were gonna see her in this episode, but it's not Alice. But yeah, Bonnie is just kind of like noticing something in the grass. And oh, by the way, when I saw Bonnie, I'm like, yeah, if she dies, I am going to give this episode a 0 out of 10, like 100%. Like I'm like, don't even play with me, Last of Us, don't you dare. So yeah, Bonnie notices Ellie in the woods, and the guy is kind of holding her back, and he kind of radios in that, hey, something's up. So he goes to check it out, all that stuff. And then as he is, like, I'm kind of worried. I'm like, oh man, is Bonnie gonna find Ellie? Is Ellie gonna have to kill Bonnie? Like like this guy, I'm totally fine if he dies, if Ellie murders him. But the dog, no, 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 no. You do not kill off the dog. Okay, that's yeah. So anyways, Bonnie is tracking down Ellie, and then it turns out Ellie crawled under a hole in the side of the wall, and the guy reports that it was just a critter or something, not important. And Bonnie's a good girl. She knew that something was up. I mean, did the guy really think it was a bug or something, or a rat? Like, dude, like that hole is pretty big, like a human could fit through there. So yeah, that was bad. That was bad on the guard's part. So anyways, in the hospital, we see Nora is treating some patients, and I like this. It adds a lot. We didn't get to see Nora since episode 2, so it's just honestly crazy. Like it's been like literally 3 whole episodes since we've seen her, and we still haven't seen Abby at all yet. So yeah, I'm genuinely curious. What are they doing? Like, it seems like they're going to do the same thing as the game. So yeah, Nora is just trying to clean up some, dirty rags and stuff. And then all of a sudden she hears Ellie. Ellie's pointing a gun at her and she's like, don't turn around. And yeah, so Ellie points the gun at her just like in the game. And unlike in the game, Ellie didn't have to kill like a whole bunch of dogs and people to get to Nora. Like, it wasn't that much. So yeah, Ellie kind of does the spiel of, do you remember me? You were in Jackson, all that stuff. You killed Joel, and she's like, where's Abby? And Nora kind of does the same thing from the game. She's about how I still hear Joel screams what we did, making you watch. And then she insults Joel, crying, calling him a baby. And then she spills the alcohol on Ellie. I mean, it was mixed with water, so how much alcohol was in there? But yeah, Ellie's just like, freak, my eyes, ow. So yeah, Nora is running. I knew this was gonna happen. I knew it from the teaser. It was Nora. She's running, saying intruder, kill her. She is running like heck. Like, oh my goodness. Um, yeah, so Ellie is just she was so desperate she shot a Coke machine. Ellie, what did that Coke machine ever do to you? I'm kidding. But yeah, Nora is running like the Dickens, and these soldiers try to shoot Ellie, but they went to the Stormtrooper Academy, so they completely miss her. Um, and Ellie keeps chasing after Nora. It's crazy how there's like no one on this main floor. Like, how big is this hospital? How few soldiers do they have? Like, it's kind of crazy. And then unfortunately for Ellie, Nora used Ellie's one weakness, wheelchairs, and literally smashed smashed the wheelchair into Ellie. It's like, oh my everything. The wheelchair, didn't see that coming. Anyways, Nora comes across the welded section where the infected were, all that stuff. And she's also barricaded. Like, why is this a thing with the hospital? Why is it barricaded like this? But yeah, it was poor planning, because yeah, now Nora's trapped, but she sees one of the elevators that's slightly open, and she thinks that she can get to the other side, all that stuff. But unfortunately, as she was trying to use the elevator as a walkway to get to the other door, it unfortunately collapsed on her, which I don't think that's realistic. I mean, Nora doesn't weigh that much. I'm not sure how that would even work. But yeah, also I'm surprised she's not dead. Like, seriously, like, broken arm, nothing. So she sees the door B2, where the infected, I mean, Nora knows this, right? She knows that this area was locked down by her commanding officers because of the spores and all that, but she goes anyway. Ellie is also almost shot, and the guys freak out because they're like, oh my goodness, seal the hallway. They open the door, the shaft, and it's like, dang, yeah, like Ellie is partially releasing the spores now because she's chasing after Nora. And as Ellie is, inside the basement, she's now in the basement with Nora. She's trying to track down Nora. She notices, spores, but it's kind of like weird because sometimes the spores look like dust. Like, how do you tell the difference? And then we see the gnarly effects on the walls. It's like, oh, I'm gonna be sick. I'll be honest with you guys. This part made me nauseous. Like, the amount of grossness with the infected and the walls, just the special effects are fantastic. It just looks so gross. It looks like a gross alien world. Like, ugh, disgusting. I can't even, like, Ellie even finds a guy in there that I guess maybe he was a patient or one of the soldiers, from weeks ago. And also I think it's I'll be honest with you, I kind of think it's a little bit cruel on Ellie's part to not take her knife out and put him down, because this guy literally looks disgusting and in agony. Ellie, it's like, come on, like, why don't you kill him? Because they breathe in oxygen but release spores. And we get to see also Leon, the son of the woman from earlier, Parker. Elise, that was his mother in the beginning of the episode. So we get to see him. Ellie also does not kill him. Like I said, kind of weird she didn't do that. I would personally do that. And then Ellie turns on the red lights in the basement. Kind of like a horror movie, and she's probably being like, Nora, come out and play. So yeah, Ellie is getting her horror movie. She's being a horror movie villain. So yeah, Nora is having trouble breathing. She's dying. She's stuck on that side of the wall. And I'll be honest with you, Ellie kind of does not look super menacing here when her aiming her gun. She should just walk. Like, I feel like it'd be scarier if she wasn't aiming the gun at her, because I feel like it just doesn't work. I don't know why. That's me personally, but yeah, Nora kind of mentions how, like, you killed us both, and Then she's like, Ellie's like, no, I didn't. And then she's like, oh, you're immune. And it's like, and then Ellie's like, where's Abby? Just like in the game. Um, you think it would be kind of crazy about like, yeah, like you think they would have known that this was Ellie that Joel took, you know what I mean? Because they killed Joel, like they, yeah. So anyways, Ellie mentions that she doesn't care why Abby killed Joel, just that she did. And and Nora kind of mentions how no, Joel killed Abby's father, so we actually get that. So like literally, Ellie already knew that Joel killed the doctor, but she didn't know it was Abby's father, and it's just not enough. Like, yes, Joel killed her father, he shot him in the head, but you bashed his head in front of me. It's different. Ellie is just so full of rage. She doesn't really care, and she's once again asking again and again, like, Nora, where is Abby? And it's just like one of those things that's so frustrating. It's like, come on, Nora, why are you so loyal to Abby? Like, seriously, what did she ever do for you that amounted to this level of insane loyalty? So yeah, Ellie takes a pipe, and she's kind of like, last chance, tell me where Abby is. And, she is not giving in. She's saying no and no again and again. And so Ellie starts swinging at Nora. She hits her in like the back, the legs with the pipe, kind of doing what Abby did to Joel, and then killing her off screen. And then we get to see Ellie waking up. I thought this was back in the theater, but no, it's a flashback, and it looks like next week is going to be like pretty much all flashbacks. So yeah, Ellie's in her room back in Jacksonville, and then we have the crazy thing is it's actually Joel. We actually see that it is Joel that woke her up and said morning kid, and she's like hi, which is kind of, it feels like a dream because Ellie doesn't like her being positive and smiling like that the first thing she wakes up. Like, I feel like she would not do that like ever. Like, I don't know, it just felt a little off to me, but yeah, she's all happy, and then boom, the episode ends. So yeah, what can I say about this episode, guys? Honestly, it was a great, fantastic episode. I pretty much have, like no nitpicks with it. It's just that it would have been nice to see Tommy. I think we should have seen Abby, but honestly, like I give it like either a 9 or a 9.5. Like this was much better than last week's. Um, we had action, we had Jesse return, we had Nora return and die. I knew it was going to happen. So yeah, honestly, I just think it was a great episode. So anyways, we get a preview of the next week's episode, and I cannot wait. We have Ellie in, the dinosaur museum. She's on the dinosaur statue, and we have Ellie and Joel, at his house, and they're eating and stuff. Like it looks like this whole episode is just going to be a flashback, and then we have Ellie either mad at Joel or Tommy, kind of hard to tell. And then about her immunity, maybe she's telling them about that, and then all of a sudden, Ellie is very mad at Joel. She's crying and saying like, "You lied." So this is the part where she's going to find out he lied about Salt Lake City, all that stuff. Although I don't know if this is in Salt Lake City right now, this scene. So yeah, that part I'm a little unsure of, because like it looks like they're still in Jacksonville, but like yeah, like either Joel tells her in Jacksonville, I'm not sure. But yeah, I can't wait to see Pedro Pascal in for like probably the last episode of the series. So yeah, they're hunting, and then boom, the teaser ends for The Last of Us. I can't wait for this episode, guys. I'm very excited. um I mean, I think it's going to be a lot slower. It's going to be more of a calm episode, but we're going to see Pedro Pascal return, and I'm sure there's going to be some present day stuff in the episode. So yeah, guys, let me know what you thought of the episode down below in the comments, and I'll see you there. All right, guys, take care. Bye.